Dakota Ditcheva's hands are healed. That question has been answered. The real question now is whether Denise Kielholtz has developed the perfect plan to beat Dakota or the perfect plan to get herself knocked out. Because after watching the latest footage from both camps, I think Denise is preparing exactly the way she should for this fight. Pressure, fast combinations, clinch entries, physical work against a much taller training partner. All of it makes sense. And all of it could lead her directly into Dakota Ditcheva's most dangerous weapons. My final prediction is Dakota by second-round knockout or technical knockout. Not because Denise is some soft comeback opponent, not because this fight is meaningless, and definitely not because Denise lacks skill. I am picking Dakota to finish her because Denise may have to take risks that no other opponent has been able to take safely. So today, leading up to the fight this week on July 31st, we're going to talk about it. Ready? Let's go behind the lines. Dakota returns Friday, July 31st, in the co-main event of PFL New York after dealing with two separate hand injuries. She broke one hand during the Sumiko Inaba fight and then injured the other while preparing for the original February date with Kielholtz. PFL now describes her as fully healed, and that lines up with what Dakota has shown during this camp. In her latest fight camp diary, she addressed the question everyone keeps asking.
I've all healed. That's the main question that everyone asks me about. I'm still punching hard, even harder than I used to. So that's the main thing. And I think that was the main focus this camp, was to just get my confidence back.
Her hands are healed. She is throwing hard again. And she believes she may be punching harder than she did before the injuries. That does not guarantee the hands will never become an issue again. But at this point, there is no visible evidence of hesitation. She is sparring hard. She is sparring bigger men. She is throwing combinations without protecting one side. She is putting 4 strong rounds together late in camp. The physical recovery appears complete. What Dakota and her coaches have really been rebuilding is trust. Trust that she can throw without thinking about the hand. Trust that she can react without protecting an old injury. Trust that when an opening appears, she can let everything go. That matters because hesitation is more dangerous than pain for a striker like Dakota. Her entire game is built around seeing the opening and acting before the opponent realizes the opening existed. If she pauses to wonder whether the hand will hold up, she is no longer Dakota Ditcheva. But if she has cleared that mental barrier, Denise is not facing a cautious fighter trying to survive her comeback. She is facing someone who has spent a year adding layers while waiting to compete. Dakota has also said her time at American Top Team regularly humbles her, and that she rotates between male and female training partners. She views the remaining concern around the hands as mental rather than physical. That brings us to what I found more interesting about her preparation. Her coaches said they did not want this entire camp built around Denise. They wanted Dakota at 100% everywhere. Striking, grappling, conditioning, adjustment, decision-making. That sounds simple, but it tells me they do not believe Dakota needs to become a different fighter to win. They believe the best version of Dakota is enough. Now, let's give Denise Kielholtz her respect. She is a former world champion kickboxer with a black belt in judo. She is experienced, physically strong, and much more complete than people who only know Dakota's highlights may realize. Her recent training footage also looks purposeful. This is not random pad work thrown online to make her look busy. She is drilling fast entries behind multiple punches. She is changing levels. She is attacking the body. She is finishing combinations with low kicks. She is working collar ties and head position with a much taller partner. She is driving forward from the clinch and adding knees. She is doing the kind of strength and conditioning work that supports a physical, high-pressure fight. The message is fairly clear. Denise does not want to spend 15 minutes at the end of Dakota's kicks. She wants to cross the distance, get her hands moving, force contact, and make Dakota fight in tighter spaces. That is the correct idea. Dakota is taller, longer, and faster. Standing at kicking range, waiting for her to make a mistake, is a bad plan. Dakota has already described Denise as a counter-oriented fighter who can become patient and wait for openings. Dakota has even said she hopes Denise brings more pressure so they can have a real striking battle. And that statement caught my attention, because when Dakota says she wants Denise to bring more, I do not think she is simply trying to create an exciting fight. I think she understands what Denise has to do. Denise cannot win by letting Dakota control the distance and choose every exchange. She has to disrupt her. She has to force reactions. She has to make this uncomfortable early. But that is where the plan becomes the trap. Dakota is dangerous on the way in. Some long-range fighters look spectacular when the opponent stays at the end of their punches and kicks. Crowd them and they lose room to work. Dakota is different. She is dangerous from long range, but she is often at her most damaging during the transition between ranges. That moment when the opponent decides to enter. That half second when they step across the line, believing they have finally escaped the kicks. That is where Dakota finds the knee, the short hook, the elbow, the body shot, the angle change that leaves the opponent squared up while Dakota is already moving away. Denise is 5'3". Dakota is 5'8". That height difference does not automatically decide anything, but it changes the physical path Denise must travel. She has to enter from farther away. She has to bring her head through Dakota's knee line. She has to stay defensively responsible while throwing enough volume to keep Dakota from simply sliding out. And she has to do it repeatedly. Once or twice may work. The question is whether she can make those entries for 3 rounds without Dakota decoding the timing. Dakota's coach described her as adjustable, precise, and highly coachable.
We always try to add something, move something, improve something, and, she's extremely coachable.
That is what separates this from a normal striker versus striker matchup. Dakota does not need the same finish to be available all night. She needs enough information to discover which finish is available. If Denise enters behind a wide combination, Dakota can intercept. If Denise enters with a high guard, Dakota can attack the body. If Denise catches a kick and forces the clinch, Dakota can frame, knee, and punish the break. If Denise waits outside, Dakota can return to controlling range. Denise has a reasonable answer for the first problem. Dakota has several answers for what comes next. This is not me pretending Denise has no chance. Her best opportunity comes early. Dakota has not fought since July 2025. Training can reproduce intensity, but it cannot perfectly reproduce the timing, adrenaline, and pressure of an actual fight. Denise needs to test that immediately. She needs to make Dakota reset before Dakota becomes comfortable. She should attack the lead leg. She should threaten the catch and dump when Dakota kicks. She should use her judo and clinch work to make Dakota carry weight. And she should avoid turning this into a clean kickboxing contest where Dakota has the time and space to read everything. The first 3 or 4 minutes are the danger zone for Dakota. That is when the layoff matters most. That is when Denise is fresh enough to explode through the distance. And that is when Dakota may still be managing the emotion of finally returning. Denise is also extremely durable. She has 9 professional MMA wins and 5 losses, but none of those losses came by knockout or TKO. She has been submitted and she has lost decisions, but nobody has stopped her with strikes. That is the strongest argument against my prediction. Denise has seen high-level striking. She has championship experience. She has survived hard fights. She is not going to fall apart the first time Dakota lands something clean. But durability can become dangerous when it convinces a fighter to stay inside the fire one exchange too long. Against Dakota, one exchange too long is sometimes all it takes. I expect Denise to have some early success. She will move forward, she will get her hands going, she may force a clinch or catch Dakota during one of those first exchanges, and for a few minutes, people will start wondering whether the upset is live. Dakota will not rush. She will start gathering information. She will touch the body. She will use the front kick to interrupt Denise's feet. She will begin timing the moment Denise loads up to cross the distance. By the end of the first round, I think the difference in speed and accuracy becomes obvious. Then Denise will face a difficult choice: stay outside and lose the range battle, or increase the pressure and give Dakota more opportunities to intercept her. I think she chooses pressure, and early in the second round, Dakota catches her entering. It could be a knee up the middle. It could begin with a body shot that forces Denise to lower her guard. It could be a short counter followed by the kind of combination Dakota throws once she smells the finish. But I believe Dakota becomes the first woman to stop Denise Kielholtz with strikes in professional MMA. Official prediction: Dakota Ditcheva by second round TKO. An impressive finish against a woman who has never been stopped that way. Not a comeback where Dakota simply proves she can still fight. A comeback where she reminds everyone why an entire division spent the last year discussing her while she was not even competing. So what comes after this? Well, there is more attached to this fight than a return victory alone. Liz Carmouche submitted Vivian Araujo in the second round at PFL San Diego, and PFL has directly connected her to the winner of this matchup. So Dakota is not returning for a ceremonial tune-up. She is returning with a former champion and one of the most accomplished women in MMA waiting on the other side. If Dakota goes out and finishes a durable striker like Denise, the conversation changes immediately. The injuries become history. The layoff becomes history. The belt becomes the next subject. And for Denise, the upset would change the entire division. That is why this fight matters. Not because we need to discover whether Dakota Ditcheva is talented. We already know that. We need to discover whether a year away has slowed down the machine, or whether it gave the machine time to become even more dangerous. I have my answer. Dakota Ditcheva, second round, striking stoppage. Now give me yours. Does Denise's pressure create the upset, or does it feed Dakota the finish? Do not just give me a name. Give me the method and the round. Stick around the channel for a post-fight video follow-up as we break down the whole fight and the outcome moving forward for each fighter. This is Reggie Cross for Behind the Lines. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe, and remember, hype fades, legacy don't. Peace. 745